Live from the Echo Network Studios here in Royal Oak, Michigan. It's the Christmas episode from Odd Musings. We're your hosts. I'm Brett Pinson.
And I'm Scott Zambelli.
Yes, we have jingle bells from our friends at Package from Santa.
Those are actually Rudolph's.
Rudolph's. I got two of them.
Yeah, so he's not jingling right now, I guess. We got them.
Yep.
Those are from our friends at packagefromsanta.com/oddmusings, where you can get up to 52% off.
Yeah.
If you order, do so now.
Yes, you can still get some stuff going on, which is pretty cool in that. But yes, it's our Christmas episode where we're talking about a lot of fun stuff. We're going to cover Baby It's Cold Outside. Not getting too deep into the controversy, because we're going to talk about the history of the song a little bit, because it is a classic song, things that have happened with that. And then we're also going to get into the true nativity in terms of
a story of another baby.
Yes.
When it was cold outside.
There we go. So our theme is Babies and Cold Outside.
Baby, it's cold outside. That's right.
And so we got a lot of cool people watching. We got Kevin watching PJs on there. I saw Mom pop up. My sister popped up, Brooke. And we had Jill watching. Nathan Kennett said, "Yo, Scott."
Yo.
So got a lot of cool guys hanging out with us today on air. So if you are watching live on the Facebook, you can definitely chime in on here at any time. Keep it clean, guys, because even though PJ wants it to be PG-13, there will be no F-bombs dropped to keep it that.
That's right.
We're going for more PG.
That's right. Keep it clean. Take a shower before you watch.
Yeah. So how was your week?
It's been very busy. Another, just blessed with the amount of business we've been doing. We sold another house this weekend. Mm-hmm. So we got some inspections lined up later this week for that one. And things are going well. Can't complain at all. Very happy. The only downside is with being so busy, I've been really backed up on as far as how much artwork I've been producing. And so, as an artist and a creator, when you stop doing that, it builds up, and now it's like I gotta create something, but I haven't had the time. But
which is a good problem to have at times. So.
It is a good problem because unfortunately for artwork, it's very hard to actually make a living.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to get back into. Things are starting to calm a little bit, and I'm definitely working a lot, but I'm hoping to start getting back into more creative stuff here in the next couple weeks. Part of it we're going to take a couple weeks off in January, and I'm looking at to kind of recharge everything.
Yeah,
and kind of get things refocused again.
Regarding the real estate, I'll just give a quick shout out. For my brand, Team Titans. Me and Jill Webler are partners on that, and we do have a really cool customer. It's office space down in Detroit. It's called Synchronous Co-working is the company's name, and the concept is co-working. So if you have any kind of, if you're an entrepreneur of any type, whether if you typically do like the business networking groups where maybe you're a plumber or a handyman, or you're an artist of some sort, a designer, advertising, or you're a lawyer, realtor even. Co-working is a great kind of concept where it's shared office space, so you reduce a lot of the costs that you would have opening up your own location. But you work alongside all these other professionals of all these different backgrounds, and it gives you a great chance of networking with each other, synergy, referrals, all these different things together in a way that you can't do if you're working out of your house. So if you want to know more about co-working, give us a call. Contact us on, go to teamtitansofrealestate.com. Contact us that way, or call me 586-549-6096.
Cool.
There you go.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier this morning about I kind of did something like that when I sold copiers. They set me up in an office, but I had it was a suite, so we all had our own rooms. And I'm still friends with a couple of the guys from there. And we had the annual Suite 108 Christmas party last night. Met up at Fraser's in Ann Arbor and got a chance to hang out and visit with everybody. See how we did.
108.
Yeah. I'm going to apologize for the coughing. I got over a cold, but the cough still keeps coming back.
That's okay.
So, of course, I was fine until about an hour ago.
So for those of you listening, every time Brett coughs, do a shot.
Yeah.
We'll have happy listeners in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. All right. And then, a little sad note, Penny Marshall passed away.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. She wasn't ill.
Well, she had, they said it was complications from diabetes. So she was diabetic. She was 75 in that, but I always liked her, as an actress. Susan Laverne and Shirley, and it was the main thing she's known for as an actress, starting off in Happy Days. Her brother, Gary's one that got her into acting, and she did a lot of his shows early on and went from there. And she credits her entire career to him, of course, during interviews and that. I read her book that came out a few years ago. It was really good to see her life story being a young mother. She was married twice. One of them was to Rob Reiner, who played Meathead on was it All in the Family?
Yeah.
And, so
that show with Archie.
Yeah, Archie.
Oh, Archie.
Oh, Archie.
That's my attempt at
had one of the earliest interracial kisses between him and Sammy Davis Jr.
That's right.
And that, and it was an interesting show. But she also was a director, and she directed Big with Tom Hanks. Very successful.
Did a lot of iconic
She was the
movies.
first. Yeah, she was the first female director to gross over $100 million at the box office with Big. She did A League of Their Own. She did Awakening. She didn't do a ton of movies, but she did a few things here and there. And she was, I think, she was very talented in a lot of ways. And it was neat to see that creative come out there. And she seemed to be very interesting. I always liked the interviews they talked about when she was doing League of Her Own, and she went up to Rosie O'Donnell, not really a big fan of, but and said, "Well, we got a chance to get Madonna here, so let's try to get Madonna. You know, we need to smooch her." You know? And she had that full-on New York accent that she had, and that. So it was very interesting.
Was a really good movie. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, her daughter was one of the people in it. Her daughter played, I believe, it was Betty Spaghetti in that. If you go back and watch that, that was her daughter in real life. So that's kind of neat to make it a little bit of a family affair. And
you had Gina Davis in there. You had
Lori. What's her name? I met her several years ago. Tom Hanks, of course.
Tom Hanks had the iconic "There's no crying in baseball."
I use that at Comic-Cons. When you see kids crying, I'm like, "There's no crying at Comic-Con."
Right.
My dad drove all the way down from Detroit, Michigan, just to watch me Comic-Con. And did I cry? No. You want to know why? There's no crying at Comic-Con.
No crying at Comic-Con. There's actually a lot of crying at Comic-Con.
Unfortunately. And it's usually like, "I want to buy that." No.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
No, I mean, we're sitting there going, "We're not here for you, kid. Please let the kid buy something from me. I need the money."
Yes, please.
But yeah, she died. That's funny. She was 75, and then yesterday, Keith Richards turned 75 from the Rolling Stones. He refuses to die. Not that I want him to die. It sounds bad, but
no, it's just everyone.
I mean, to see someone that survives, he's taken enough drugs to kill a small country, and he's still around.
You know, that goes. People say that, but is it actually documented? Do we know he actually has done all these?
Well, he supposedly had a big heroin addiction back in the 70s, but
who didn't?
I guess.
But like all of them.
Yeah. So he's 75.
They had their heroin in bowls of cereal. They just ate it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been some interesting. There's been a few celebrity deaths here recently. I saw a couple others pop up. The guy who was the first voice on ESPN passed away. He was like in his 80s, I believe. Saw that last night on ESPN. Yeah. Locally, unfortunately, we lost a local newscaster. Yeah, from Channel 2, Fox 2 News. She was
their meteorologist.
Yeah.
What's odd about that is looks like it's tied to the LASIK surgery she recently had.
Then there's been several reports of different.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds over the coming weeks, because it's definitely making people look at LASIK surgery a little differently.
Yeah.
Because that even got picked up on the national level.
Right.
So that became more than just a local story.
Yeah.
So
I saw this posted, but if they remember back in the summertime, I had Jen on with me, and we talked about the crisis text line 741-741. Just text home to 741-741 if you've got any of these thoughts. If you're in depression, stuff like that. They can try to help you out, and that's all. But it's a sad thing to hear something like that. She's mid-30s, young kids, leaves them behind with her husband.
Yeah,
and the entire whole thing is just it was bizarre. It came out of nowhere for all of us. So.
Yeah,
and I feel bad not just for her family, but also the coworkers that were all blindsided by this. So.
Oh yeah,
in fact, even the other channels were all very upset on that.
They're all supportive of each other. So. Yeah, very sad.
So now let's get back to more happier news, because this is odd musings and that. But I went and saw Elf the musical on Sunday. My cousin Cindy and I and my mom, Connie the Comic-Con mom, we went down to Toledo. It's the first one in our series this year. They're starting a little later than normal. Mm-hmm. I'd seen it once before. It was really fun. It's based on the movie Elf with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, it's not an exact adaptation. Right?
No. Like Papa Elf is not in it, so that's not a character in it. Santa Claus is a little more prominent.
Papa Elf was Bob Newhart.
Yep. And then it covers the basics of the story. they don't get into full details of like crossing the candy cane forest and all that stuff. Right. You do see the narwhal though.
Oh,
he goes, bye buddy, have fun, hope you find your dad.
and the song "Baby It's Cold Outside" is not in it, but it wasn't removed specifically for this. It's
all original songs. Now you can see a version of this as the animated one, the Elf, the animated movie or show they did with Jim Parsons, who plays Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, is based off the musical. Okay. So it's got a lot of those songs in it. Right. But it's just fun. I'm pretty sure I still have to find my Elf program guide from 5 years ago. I'm thinking the guy that played Buddy in this one is the one I saw 5 years ago, and he was really good. He's very animated on stage, and he's very funny in that. Mm-hmm. And it was fun, but the performances were great. The kid that played his younger brother had a great voice, probably like 12 years old. He had a really solid voice.
Nice.
Looking in the program, the one that played the mom, she actually graduated from Western Michigan University, so I got a Michigan tie to that. Very cool. And then the girl that played Jovi, the love interest, just graduated college this past spring. So this is her first national tour. Cool. And she's got a pretty prominent role in that. So it was fun. Definitely, if you get a chance to go see Elf the musical and you liked Elf the movie, you'll like the musical. Like I said, a little bit different.
How long is it?
It's about 2.5 hours.
2.5? Nice.
And there was a 20-minute intermission, so it wasn't bad. So the first act was like about a little over an hour, and then the second one was like 45 minutes.
Okay.
So
very cool.
And you got Santa in it. You got a lot of fun, and it's Christmassy, and it's really neat.
Now, mentioning it's a musical, they're singing. Did you see the post? It's from the Adam Sandler's Netflix thing. The song he did for Chris Farley.
Yeah, I watched that special. It was a good special, and I remember the song.
Yeah, that was an excellent song. I almost wish Adam Sandler would start doing music all the time.
I love his music.
I really do like his songs. I mean, of course, we got the Hanukkah song, which is iconic for Christmas.
Hanukkah and then Thanksgiving song.
Ironic reason. Got to listen to Hanukkah song to have Christmas usher in. But I love the music he does, but it was really nice seeing the video behind him because I hadn't gotten a chance to watch the actual Netflix show yet.
I think if you like Adam Sandler's stand-up, you're going to like this because it's kind of a throwback to that.
See, I actually find Adam Sandler really annoying in his acts. Like, I can't stand him in his movie. He does the worst impressions. He does the worst voices. To me, Adam Sandler, I don't understand so much. But anyways, I really love the musical thing. There's a lot of his comedy I do like. Yeah. But there's a lot where I'm just like, I don't know. Anyways.
It's speaking. I mentioned Jen earlier. When Jen and I were in college, last year we were in college together, she played the CD all the time in the studio of "They're All Gonna Laugh at You."
Yeah.
And her favorite song was the Medium Pace song. So you have to go look at that one. That's But that shows his sophomore humor he's got.
But I just thought it was a really great tribute to Chris.
You know what? It really was because they were best friends. They were all really close.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Chris Farley just went off that edge and went just full bore into the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. And I know to this day, a lot of those guys that were all with him on Saturday Night Live, that were friends in the movies and stuff like that, they all still miss him to this day because they're like, it's the one piece they seem to always wish they had to fill the gap in their movies and that. So.
Right.
But no, the special was really good. I liked the special was neat because it wasn't just straight through concert film. It was taken from different iterations of him doing.
It was him building up to the live show, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was great because you see him doing smaller clubs, the bigger stadium, and he's going to be here in Detroit in February doing it.
Nice.
So Little Caesars Arena.
Nice.
So it should be pretty good. I enjoyed it. So I would say definitely take a look at it.
Yeah,
it was a neat look into somebody's creative process that's getting back into something they hadn't done in like 15 years.
Well, it's like even like the Seinfeld stuff on Netflix where like he does the one where he's back at the original place where he did his original stand-up act. Mm-hmm. I find it interesting to watch those because these people are at the point in their career where they're reflecting back and they can kind of appreciate the path they were on, and
we're seeing
fun watching.
I've seen a lot of Ellen announced she's got one. She's got a Netflix
she's
special.
Coming back to stand up.
Yeah, she's got a Netflix special, and what she did was she said, I started hitting these smaller clubs in the area, and she goes, I wouldn't announce it, she'd just show up. and work out material in that. So.
Yeah, but that's really cool. Also on Netflix, I've been catching up on Travelers season 3.
Yeah, I forgot that started last week.
Yeah, and I'm 5 or 6 episodes in, really liking the season. There's something about the cast too. Like you really like the characters, and
it's a solidly written show, and I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to pop that on. I've been watching. I was mentioning out there The Marvelous Miss Maisel from Amazon Prime. I'm in the middle of that season now.
Yeah, I have Amazon Prime. I never watch anything because there's so much on Netflix I'm trying to watch.
Well, both have such good shows. It's tough. You know, they go back and forth. It's like on Amazon Prime. You have The Man in the High Castle, which I still haven't finished this last season. I got to finish that.
The Jack Clancy.
That one I went through.
Clancy,
I went through all.
What's his name?
Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. Yeah. I went through all of those episodes. And that was fun. But yeah, there's a lot of great. I mean, it's probably have as when we were full-time artists, we were home working on stuff and watching stuff.
Yeah, I can't keep up now.
Now that we're both out and about, I'm doing with Shift, you're doing real estate. We're not home to watch anything.
Right. It's very hard to keep up with the.
By the time I get home, I can watch maybe an episode or 2 of something, and then I'm.
But it's actually what it's doing is forcing us also to weed out stuff. Like you have to actually start picking and choosing. Like, okay, this is a maybe, but the maybes end up not getting watched.
Yeah. Now PJ asked if we were watching Voltron. I think you watched Voltron on Netflix, right?
I have. I no longer do Voltron.
Okay.
I boycott the season now.
Okay.
So there are certain things to the storyline I just object to.
Oh, okay.
They did with.
I haven't watched any of it.
The Voltron leader there. So
yeah, I haven't watched any of that.
I've taken it off my watch list and have not watched it anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so much to watch. It's hard to keep up. So definitely a lot of good shows on there. Definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing the Travelers and that because I like the concept of that one, and I like how they handle time travel because it's not time travel as we know it.
It's an interesting way that they do it. I like how they take into account certain things change in the future, and then the new Travelers know the new information, whereas the old Travelers don't know what changed. So they're, I think they do a interesting job with all that.
Yeah. Speaking of interesting jobs,
we've
got Loringer Family Chiropractic, where your journey to wellness begins here. You can build a healthy lifestyle with chiropractic care. At Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC, located in Belleville, Michigan and Dexter, Michigan, they take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give them a call, 734-697-4244. And there's the coffee. And visit them at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. We have a link at oddmusings.com just for you.
There you go. Go check them out.
Yep, I was there yesterday. They definitely helped out with adjustments with the cough. I've just got residual trying to get rid of. A little bit upper respiratory last week, but it wasn't bad. So
excellent.
All right, so
we got Phil Leon chiming in.
Phil, how you doing?
Hello. Oh, yeah. Jill chimed in earlier.
Oh yeah, I love The Wedding Singer. Wedding Singer is probably one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies. I like Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore together.
They're great.
The 3 movies they did that one. They did 50 First Dates, and then I like Blended.
Didn't they do one with a remote control? Like they could.
He wasn't the wife though. She wasn't the wife. So Drew Barrymore.
Oh, that was Adam Sandler.
That was Adam Sandler. Okay. Called Click or something like that.
Click or Rewind or Remote.
So that was pretty good. But yeah, I love The Wedding Singer. They actually did a stage musical. I wish it had worked. Oh, yeah. It'd have been funny to see that travel around because to see how that works. But
I really like a Wedding Singer, Happy Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
What was the one? He had the son.
Daddy.
Big Daddy or...
Yeah, Big Daddy, yeah.
Big Daddy, whatever it was.
Yeah, the son was actually played by the twins that ended up being on the Nick show, Sweet Life. And then the one that is now playing Jughead on Riverdale.
Okay, yeah, so. But I really enjoyed that one, too. Kate Beckinsale was on Click. Thank you, Kevin.
Yep, that's what I was thinking was Kate. Well, he would know that. That's when he likes him.
Yeah, so...
And that. But now we get to talk a little bit about Baby, It's Cold Outside.
Baby, It's Cold Outside.
This is, I've always liked this song. And the most popular one is the Dean Martin one from 1959. And the reason and the thing is, it's not even a Christmas song. It is associated mainly because of Dean Martin putting it on his Christmas album in '59. He was one of the first ones.
Yeah, for me, it's because of Elf.
Well, that's because they put it in there.
That's where I liked the song before, but that's where I really liked it was after seeing it in Elf.
And but the song was written by Broadway composer Frank Lesser. His wife at the time was Lynn. They ended up divorcing, and he married actually a friend of she introduced to him. So I don't know the whole story of that. But the funny thing is when he wrote the song, and it was based on an actual event in her life. When they were engaged, they'd been over for a party. Other people had been there. They were leaving, and the weather got turned really bad.
Yes.
And he said, "Why don't you stay?" And she was like, "Well, people are going to talk, cause
right." Well, back then, it was highly frowned upon to stay the night at somebody else's house. Right. You were unmarried at a boyfriend's house. You couldn't just stay the night there.
Well, it was a different time and era, and they wouldn't live together till they were married.
Right.
So she ended up spending the night. They don't get into details of the night on what happened then. They kept that to themselves. So we don't know what they did that night, if she slept in a different room or something else. But the story was, they were going to be married shortly anyways, and he said, "Look, we're engaged. You might as well stay. I'd rather you be safe than." And it was all about keeping her safe.
Well, the point, even if they weren't engaged, the point being, the weather turned. It was cold, snowy. Conditions were potentially dangerous, and the song is her giving the excuses why she should go, because she's afraid of societal pressures of, well, whatever, you can't stay the night. Yeah. Even if nothing's going to happen, you can't stay there because it's looked,
The whole thing was, it's about flirting is what the song ended up being about. Yeah. And he wrote the song, and it was a party song that they would perform. Right. And back in, especially the 30s and 40s, when people had parties, they usually brought in an act.
Yes.
And sometimes they were part of the friends, but they loved bringing them in because they were actually the closing act. They would actually do the song as a way of telling everybody, get out. It's a nice way to say leave. It may be cold, but y'all got to go. But that's where the song came out. And then...
That'd be like Motley Crue's Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away.
Right. You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. Yes. And that the song did become popular in 1949. It was in the movie Neptune's Daughter, and that one was actually the first iteration of it. In the song was sung by Esther Williams and Ricardo Montalban,
also known as Con.
Yes. and what
was his name in Fantasy Island?
Mr. Rourke.
That's right.
Yes, I am here with my Corinthian leather.
Which, according to Ricardo Montalban, his chest was not fake in Star Trek II. There are rumors of it being a fake piece to make him look a little more chiseled, but
it was 100% Montalban.
It was pure Montalban.
Pure Montalban. I love Ricardo Montalban.
I just like saying his name.
Yeah.
Ricardo Montalban.
Well, it's because you got Ricardo Montalban, and I'm here for Corinthian leather.
Corinthian leather. Fine Corinthian.
Yes, fine Corinthian leather in the Cadillac.
What was that from?
Cadillac commercials.
That was commercials. That's right. Okay.
And that, so he did that, and then I'm trying to find who did it after. It was, and then afterwards it was done in reverse. So the female and male roles reversed, and it was Red Skelton and Betty Garrett, where he was trying to leave. Right. He was going to leave,
which is funny because Lady Gaga just did a version like that, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, she reversed the roles." It was done it's done eons ago. She didn't do some groundbreaking thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she did it. Her and Tony Bennett did a version of it. I mean, there's been like 60 different versions of it.
Tons of them. Yeah.
Michael Bublé has his, and a bunch of other ones. So it's been used a lot. It's a great song. Yeah, the Bublé. Which on good news in that
is his name really Michael Bubble? No, just adds the French twist to it.
No, he's French Canadian. It's Bublé.
So it's Bubble.
Yeah. I saw an interview.
I'm on to you, Bubble.
Yeah, a little sidebar on that. I saw an interview with him on Sunday morning program, and he actually has his own hockey rink built in his house in Canada.
And I do know it's Bublé. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Mr. Bubble.
There was, of course, the famous
Mr. Bubbles.
There was a Muppet version with Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy.
Aggressively imploring ballet dancer Rudolph Nureyev to stay with her in the steam room.
He was just trying to make bacon. Come near the fire.
Yeah.
Poor Brett.
I know. This call comes on.
Pray for Brett.
Yeah. And that, so it's been used a lot in that. So, but like I said, the story of it, I think, is just fascinating. And then it was an Academy Award winner in 1949. You know, different people use it over there. It's unfortunately, you know, in the last, it seems like the last couple of years, but it's gone researching a little bit. It's like almost 15 years now. People start saying, "Oh, it's this, it's that." They're taking out of context what's being said.
Well, and it seems like it stems from. I mean, we could be wrong on this part, but the earliest origin we were able to find online, you were able to find, was 2007. Somebody did a spoof on this to make it like a creepy version.
Yeah, the Funny or Die people, they did a creepy version of it.
And it seems like after that is when people started then associating with this negative tone instead of it just being a flirtatious song or whatever.
And that's what it is. When they try to go say, well, the drink. See, he slipped her something to drink. No, she's jokingly saying, hey, what's in this drink? Maybe I should stay because I've been drinking. You know,
the reality is, I'm just gonna say it. These are just idiots who want to ruin Christmas.
Pretty much.
Everything about it. These are the same people who think Santa now needs to be transgender. They want this to be considered a date rape song now, and they're just trying to ruin everything. Yeah. So, screw you guys. That's my message.
Yeah. Well, to quote Cartman, screw you guys, I'm going home.
Screw you guys.
But it's definitely just one of those songs that I've always enjoyed. I think it's a good song.
It's a fun song.
And it's a playful song. And as Dean Martin's daughter has come out recently saying, if you pay attention to it, it's a flirtation. It's a flirtation that doesn't happen anymore in these day and age. You know,
well, they don't want it. They want to destroy that. They're trying to destroy all societal norms and traditions.
Yeah, but if you look at the guy that did it, though, Frank Lesser. Now, his wife used to say she was the evil of two lessers.
The evil of two lessers.
And but he did a lot of other stuff. He did the music for Guys and Dolls. He did How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and a bunch of other stuff. So he did a ton. He's like over 700 songs he's credited for, including Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition from 1942.
Wow.
So
was that one title, Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition?
That was one song. Yep.
I like it.
It was a war song, and it was a patriotic song, and it was his response to the attack on Pearl Harbor.
There you go.
Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition. There you go. The song describes a chaplain or a sky pilot being with some fighting men who are under attack from an enemy. So chaplain puts down his Bible, mans one of the ship's gun turrets, and begins firing back, saying, Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition.
All right.
So it's an interesting take on that.
But all in all, the song is it's a fun song.
Yep.
Its origins have nothing to do with the date rape stuff. It was the original origin was bad weather hit. He was offering her to stay the night, but she was worried what people would say.
Yeah, and then when he wrote this song, he wrote it for him and her to sing at these parties. So it was a party song
for fun.
And it was all for fun.
Right.
And people have taken it way out of context. Because too many people are trying to read into stuff that's not there anymore, and they need to get over themselves.
Well, that's the problem too. Is they want to take things out of context and put them into a new context to say, and then ban it based on the new context. When the reality is historical accounts matter. The context of how something is said matters.
Yeah.
And you can't just say, well, I feel this, therefore you can't listen to this anymore. That's not what it's about. We're not. There is no place in our Constitution or Bill of Rights that says you have the right to not be offended.
Right. And if you want to be offended, that's fine, but don't tell me what I can and not listen to.
Right. Well, and the fact is, in order to have free speech in a society, you can only have free speech if people have the right to be offended.
Yeah.
Not the right from being offended.
Right.
It's just a reality of
free
free
I will
speech.
say the radio stations that initially got the news this year of banning it have all put it back on.
Yep.
Everything I've read.
There is even one station that played it for 24 hours straight.
Down in Kentucky, yes.
Yep.
They put it on and said, we're going to play it 24 hours.
We're going to play it,
and that's good. You got to get rid of these few people.
We got to squash them.
Yes. We squash them like a bug.
Squash them like vape.
So, there we go.
All right. Well,
but we need to talk about something else. And
beautiful home makeovers.
Yeah, from Joe Webler.
That's right. In need of a fresh look for your home business or special event, give Joe Webler a call at 586-277-2145 to schedule a free consultation for bringing new life to your interiors and or exteriors. Whether you need something for the holidays or more permanent like a home renovation, Jill has the expertise and creative vision to give you a look that will wow your family, friends, clients, and or anyone else who stops by.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, so you can follow Beautiful Home Makeovers on Facebook. You can type in either Beautiful Home Makeovers by Jill Webler or do the @ symbol at Home Makeovers by Jill.
There you go.
So that's how you find her on there.
She made a great wreath for us that I talked about before.
Yep.
I loved when she posts all the stuff she's done. She's got a great eye for color and design.
Some say she has too.
Yeah. She's got one for design and one for color. There you go.
But and with the holiday, Christmas is starting to get past us. But she does stuff year round. She does decorations for year round, different holidays. Also, though, as people are looking at a lot of times with the new year, people look at renovating their homes. She can help you there too with what colors to pick, what carpeting, what
And then she's a realtor extraordinaire.
And she is. Yeah. Yep. And
she's part of Team Titans. Yep.
Team Titans.
Awesome. So now we're kind of moving on to the true story of the Nativity, the birth of Christ.
Yes.
This is fascinating. We talked about beforehand how the most of the churches even tell more of the legend, and not the fact.
Yeah, it's easier. And, a lot of times it's easier just to tell people what they already believe instead of actually diving into the details and mystifying the legend. I don't know how to put it, but this
I think that's a good way.
This is straight from the Bible, and the popular version is Joseph and Mary. They're heading down to Bethlehem, and she goes into labor, and all the inns are crowded, so she can't there's no room in the inn, so they end up going into like a little stable or barn or cave, depending on the depiction. She has the birth of Christ there. They're laying in the manger, surrounded by all the farm animals. Mm-hmm. The shepherds show up, and then the wise men show up with their gifts.
Yeah,
that's the typical story, except that's not how it occurs in the Bible.
Quick sidebar: did you see the cartoon that shows the wise men? They have frankincense, myrrh, and then was it myrrh,
frankincense?
What's the other one?
Gold.
So gold. It was gold, myrrh, and the guy's standing there with Frankenstein. It's supposed to be frankincense. Frankenstein's monster to get.
Those are funny. Well, technically, yes, because somebody else it's not the name Frankenstein. Yeah. Although he probably inherited the name, I would think.
Well, he was the child of Frankenstein, so he should be Frankenstein.
Yeah. So, or like the cartoon of Bath Time for Jesus. You see little baby Jesus standing on top of the water, and Mary's like, "Get in the water now." And he's standing like this on top of the water. And then there's also the one of Moses getting a bath, and the water is parted. And baby Moses, and the mom's like, "Hey."
So we should do one with baby Moses meets baby Jesus, and he parts the water, and baby Jesus just riding on top of it.
Maybe that's how surfing was invented.
There we go. Invention of surfing.
Moses would part the water to create waves, and Jesus would stand on top of the wave. There we go. The invention of surfing.
It's not true, people.
No, that's not in the Bible. So anyways, I'm going to do a summarized version. I mean, we only have 20 minutes. I'm not going to get into everything. But for those of you who are interested in actually reading the actual story of Christmas, it's in the book Gospel of Luke, chapter 2. That's where you'll find the actual story.
Now, which translation are you using here?
This particular one is NIV. I've got a couple
That's
different.
New International Version for those that don't know it.
Correct.
Yeah. The King James is the version most people are aware of, and then there is multiple other versions out there.
Yeah, I mean, all the different translations, you can choose whatever one you like. The reality is, while there are slight modifications between words, they all footnote what those differences are at the bottom, and the overall message between all of them are the same. There's no actual change in history or message of the content.
Right.
So you get into like specifics of like this word could be translated as this or this. So this version chose this, and then they explain why. This version chose this, they explain why. But both are actually correct. But it comes back to context of words, just like with baby, it's cold outside. If you ignore the context of how a word was used at the time, you can come up with misunderstandings of particular words,
right?
Because we're looking at them in light of what we are saying today. Mm-hmm. So anyways, one thing a lot of people don't realize, and some do and some don't, not that it's a major factor, but why was Joseph and Mary even going to Bethlehem in the first place? And it starts off saying that Caesar Augustus, he was the Caesar of Rome at the time. Rome occupied Jerusalem and Israel. They issued a decree for a census to be taken. And part of the requirements of that was the male of every family had to go back to their hometown of their family's origin. So for them, they had to go to Judah.
That was the home for Joseph.
That's where his family line originated.
Right.
So they had to go there, and Mary, being betrothed to him, went with him. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's kind of the thing there. But the part I really want to highlight is when they're going down there. What's interesting is when they get to Bethlehem, the popular version is there's no room for them in the inn, right? But here's what's interesting: when you actually look up the actual word. I have what's called concordance here, where it's really important. The concordance goes into the actual original Greek or Hebrew words,
yep.
And what the actual word was and the definition, and that's where you can really get into deep about what these words are. So what's interesting is the word for inn is actually, let me grab this. I'm getting old. I can't see so far. So the word for inn, it's the Greek word, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, is katalima. Katalima.
Okay.
Katalyma. That's the actual word used for the word in this passage in the original documents.
Okay.
And this same word appears also in the book of Mark, chapter 14:14. And what the actual word actually translates to is guest room. So a lot of people translate that to the word inn.
Okay.
But it was also the word used for the upper room. Now, back then, if you look up old pictures or diagrams of what houses were like, you had like the mud or whatever, the clay or whatever it is they use. It would typically be a one-floor structure, and the house was inside. They were all lived on the one floor, but on the roof they would put a guest room, and that word katalima would be used to describe that room on the upper floor. So it wasn't an inn like when we say inn, we're thinking hotels.
Right. It wasn't that type of thing.
It wasn't necessarily that. Now it could be that, but more than likely, all these families are traveling down to Bethlehem. They were probably, their culture is much different than now.
Right.
They typically traveled together with family. They typically stayed at other family members' houses. And in Bethlehem, when the thousands of Judeans are showing up because of their family, all these houses are overflowing. So when it says there's no room for an inn in the inn, they're probably talking about, I should say, is actually the guest room.
Right.
Up there. But she could have still been at the house.
Yeah, they could have still been there, just not in the inn.
Because typically, here's the roof, and typically there's a segment up on the roof where like this corner would be the guest room.
Yeah.
But then there's this large patio area. So she could have been up there. She could have been downstairs. We don't know.
Yeah.
But the point being, the actual word, we all think it's like, all the hotels were filled. So she had to go in this barn.
Well, and they also tried to take it where they were basically, refused to be able to stay there. Not just they were full, but they refused entry into it. So we hear the myth of it all.
Yes, they'll say they were refused, and right here it says the actual Bible is, while they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. It doesn't say they were refused. It doesn't say they went into a barn.
No.
And a lot of people they use the manger as the proof, but a manger was a portable item. It could have easily been if they were at this family residence.
Yeah.
She just didn't have room to go inside the guest room because all their tons of family was there. She gave birth. She could have gave birth on the roof on the patio section.
Yeah.
And someone could have said, "Well, hey, I got this from the sheep. Here, put them in there."
Yeah.
They could have done that. We don't know for sure. But the point being, nowhere in here does it say they were born surrounded by oxen and all this stuff and in a barn on hay. None of that is actually said. Just like the wise men, we will typically say there's 3 of them. nowhere does it say the amount of wise men. Now, traditionally, we say 3 because there were 3 gifts. So in our tradition, we say 3.
Yeah.
But there's often when you go overseas, in a lot of cultures, they say 10 or 12 wise men. And that corresponds to like the number of gifts from the Spirit, or like they have these different reasons why they say different numbers. The point is, in the Bible, it actually never said. We just know it was plural. So there was a minimum of 2. That's all we know. And they also probably traveled in large caravans.
Well, typically they would. I mean, the kings even then would not have traveled by themselves very often.
Correct. Yeah. Well, it was a dangerous route, and it wasn't like they just came from next door. When they go in the Bible, it says that the wise men stopped by Herod because they were trying to find where this Messiah was being born. And Herod asked them, "Well, when did you first see the star?" And they determined it had been 2 years since they first saw the star. So for 2 years, at some, when they first see it and when they
traveling long distances, because they were on probably most likely camel,
right,
as well as pulling carts and walking,
and they were probably from the far, I think in modern day, like the far east portion of like Pakistan, if I remember correct.
It'd been out that way and basically coming down. We talked with our DNA. You're going the Silk Road,
right?
That would have been the path they would have came to head out that way,
right? And traveling in large caravans, you travel much slower than if you're just 1 or 2 people,
right?
Because you got to travel at the pace of the slowest person. So, and they probably had to plan. When they first saw the star, there was probably months of planning that went into before they left.
Right.
Then when they arrived and all this stuff. And this is the other part in the Bible where it differs greatly from what people believe is, the typical nativity scene. You see Jesus in the barn, in the manger, surrounded by the shepherds and the wise men.
Yeah.
But the Bible is very clear. Now the shepherds do show up. Okay, they come out and they see them. I'm finding the exact here. Okay, so after the shepherds were there that first night, but then after that, 8 days go by. And they're still in Bethlehem, and then they present him to get circumcised. That was 8 days before circumcision, which I never understand now, though. The Jewish people wait till like 14 or whatever for their bar mitzvah. Isn't that when they wait for it now?
No, well, the bris is when they do the circumcision. That would be when they're baby. Then the bar mitzvah is just when they actually enter into manhood. That's a different ceremony.
Okay, ignore that then. Yeah. But anyways, so the 8th day they circumcise them. Wise men are still not present at that point. So right there, 8 days has passed. Then they wait 40 days, and then they go from Bethlehem to Jerusalem, because in the culture at the time, if you had a boy, you presented them in the temple on the 40th day, after 40 days of being born, when they're 40 days old. So it says they went over to Jerusalem and presented them. Okay? So that's 40 days. The wise men still aren't present. Then it says, after that, when it talks about the Magi showing up, I don't have the exact quote in front of me. Wrong verse in front of me. Anyways, I can summarize because I do know it. Okay. But it says when they showed up to present the gifts, it says they found the babe in the house. Okay, so once again, not in the barn, in a house. And the word they use for infant is actually, it's almost like how we use the word toddler now. The exact definition of the word is a child of learning age. And they typically would use that word in context of that time frame for a child between the ages of 1 to 6.
Yeah.
So chances are, when you do all the math and stuff, Jesus was probably about 1.5 years old at that point.
Yeah.
When the Magi arrive and give their gifts to him. So it's just an interesting thing, different than what people typically think of, because we look at that little nativity scene, which tries to summarize the entire Christmas story into one little scene.
Yeah, the Christmas story isn't about just the one day; it covers a couple years.
Couple years, yeah, and it even goes back to when when Mary is first greeted by Gabriel and told that she's going to be pregnant and all that. So, you can take that part into account too. But it's just interesting. But, read it for yourself. If you're interested at all, it's Luke chapter 2. You can read pretty much the whole thing. There's other parts too.
Yeah. And then even though with a lot of the stories that kind of condense it down, there's still a lot of good stories in that cover the Christmas story as we know it, with the birth of Christ and that. And a lot of them get the meaning there is what they're trying to hit more than just the actual facts. It's interesting finding out the facts though of what really happened in time frames and that, because I know when going to church and studying the Bible and that there's a lot of history of Christ that's not covered, and they think that he was born and then we don't hear anything for another 30 years, but actually there's already a few years covered in the Bible, as being a toddler and moving into that age. So.
Yeah, there's some interesting stories there where you learn also about like when Jesus was forgotten by his family. That's a fun one. People are like, how do you just forget your kid?
That's when they flew off to France and he had to protect Bethlehem from the burglar. No, wait, that's wrong.
Yeah, but people would be like, how do you forget your kid? But back then they would travel once again in these large packs where you would have, it wouldn't be just like nowadays when a family goes on a trip, it's you, your mom, and siblings. So there's like 4 of you in a car. Right. Well, it's easy to tell when someone's forgotten. But back then you travel in these caravans and you'd have like your uncles and aunts and
so you go off with them and it wouldn't be seen for days.
Yeah, you would assume they're with Uncle Joseph or whoever, and and turns out 3 days later it's like, I haven't seen Jesus in a while. Where'd he go?
So they go back, find him. He's walking on water again.
That's the other thing. Think about that. Parents now, you got to turn around for an object. It's like 30 seconds out of the day. Look how mad parents get. Imagine that. It's like turning around is a 3-day trip.
Yeah.
You got to walk 40 miles.
And there's Mary 4 days later. Jesus! And you got to go back. And that's where the expression of yelling Jesus when something's going wrong happened. We're back going, oh Jesus, and people are like, what's wrong? So it happened bad. She must be, we'll just start saying Jesus now.
Yeah. So I don't know. I enjoy really getting into like these different words,
right? And I don't mean to make light of it.
No.
I think the beauty of what God did for us with giving us humor is we can add some humor into different things like that without taking away the seriousness and the relief of that. And that's always the fun on that. But I think the story of Christ is a very interesting story, and whether you're celebrating Christmas as a Christian, someone that does the secular side with Santa Claus only and things like that, or you don't say you celebrate Christmas but you're still taking the day off work because the place is closed. I mean, we all celebrate Christmas one way or another, and we can all do it in our own ways, which is neat in that. But learning the reason behind
unless you want transgender Santa, then no, I don't respect your way of celebrating it.
No, Santa is a man. There's Mrs. Claus.
Saint Nick. That's an interesting story too.
Yeah, there's a lot with that too. Yeah.
Saint Nick was a real person, a real saint, around 300 AD. Now, this is totally free-flowing here, so forgive me if some of my facts are a little off just because I haven't researched this in about a year. But
you always go back to our Christmas episode last year, because I think you talked about it there.
Oh, did I talk about him?
I don't know.
So
just check out last year's episode, see what we talked about then.
It's around 300 AD. That's where what happened is Christianity had been around for quite some time at that time, 300 years old. Yeah. And over time, different denominations or sects,
CTS,
sects have developed, and then people were but some of the groups, almost like today, there are groups out there who are creating like this new age Christianity, which are blending like this, whatever thoughts of the universe stuff, blending it in with Christianity and making their own religion. Right. That was starting to happen. So around 300 AD, they called this council together where the bishops and different people from around all these higher ups, the leadership of Christianity, they came together to finally say, okay, we got to start putting down in writing some rules here, because stuff is getting crazy out there. People are starting to create these offshoots of Christianity which have nothing to do with Christianity. And so they decided to put together some official rules of Christianity, so to speak.
Right.
And Saint Nick was a real person at the time, and he actually wore a red and white robe, but he was actually skinny. He was tall and skinny. Yeah. But he would go down and give gifts. He would do a parade every year.
Okay.
And what he would do is kids would come out with their socks and hold their socks out. That's the stockings.
Okay.
And he would give them lumps of coal. but it was a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah, back then, let's go like heat.
Yes, they would so they would hold their socks out. He would put the lump of coal in the sock, and they would take it home, and they would use it the family would use it to heat the house. So it was actually a good thing. So that's where the coal comes in, the stockings come in. And that's what he would do. But he was also a very passionate man for Christ. And one of the doctrines they were debating, because some of these sects were saying Jesus was not the Son of God. He was just merely a mortal who represented God. And this debate was going back and forth on how they need to word it for the doctrine. And the legend has it that one person was making the argument that Christ was merely a man, not the actual Son of God, and Saint Nick got up and punched him in the face and stormed out because he couldn't believe the blasphemy this guy was saying, and stormed out. And supposedly that was where they held the vote, and it went Saint Nick's way. At least that's how I've read it. So,
and I'm sure they were sitting there going, I don't want him to punch me in the face, man. So hey, Nick, you win, dude.
So I think that might have been the first naughty list person.
You're on my naughty list.
Yeah. So
and then when you no longer get cold, he goes, now you get cold because you won't even know what to do with it.
If I remember correct, it was the Council of Nicaea. I think that's
the Council of Nice List.
Maybe. But
and that's where the origin of the Nice List comes from.
Yeah.
We just got to figure out where the elves came from. The
elves.
Yes. And when the toys got thrown into it.
That might have been like Montgomery Ward, how they created Rudolph, too.
Right. Well, I mean, you go back to the Santa Claus, as we know, was a product of a poem.
Also,
as
Coca-Cola
well as
was a major part. At least with the visual.
Yeah, the visual of Santa Claus, as we know it now, is from Coca-Cola.
You know what's interesting, though? They probably used a real model for the paintings. It'd be interesting to find out, like, who was the
Santa Claus from packagefromsanta.com/oddmusings is a real Santa. He's got a full beard. He looks like the classic Santa Claus as we know. He's got his own suit.
Well, and he called into the show.
And I just opened up my sugar cookie from Mrs. Claus.
Mrs. Claus.
This is what you get in the platinum kit, but you can order this separate with the Odd Musings when you go to packagefromsanta.com/oddmusings.
Oh, you're gonna take a bite? Mm-hmm. Are you gonna fly like Rudolph?
Oh, that's a good cookie.
Good cookie?
That's a good cookie.
All right, good.
I got one because I had two.
Yeah, I left mine out there, though, so I can't eat it on the air.
Good cookie.
Good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
You know, when we had Elf Dale and Elf Carrie, they said they were good cookies.
Yeah.
So.
Are they medical cookies?
No. No, but I am feeling pretty good.
Yeah. Well, each cookie is made with love. Mm-hmm. You know, unless you go with my theory from the Santa Claus movie, and then there's something else in there. I don't know.
It's got edible glitter on it. It's really good.
Edible glitter? Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh, there is glitter.
Yeah.
Or is that magic dust?
It's magic dust.
Magic dust.
Now, it's not the magic dust that Cheech and Chong talk about, but hey, man, it's pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Speaking of Cheech and Chong, since you brought that up, I always love the Santa Claus bit on Cheech and Chong. Like, oh man,
I got that on the radio.
Yeah, I know him. He's a cool dude, cool cat. I played with him once. No, not like that.
We need a Cheech and Chong Santa Claus movie.
You need Cheech and Chong back. Problem is, though,
they've been touring a couple. They've done.
Have they? Problem is now everything's like legal. And
I think they have a new. I want to say they got a new album or something coming out. They're doing something together. I saw a little bit of it on the news the other week.
For a long time, Cheech, he wanted nothing to do with that whole thing. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be a serious actor, and
he's a good actor.
He is. He's very good. Yeah, he did star in a lot of not main, but he was usually a secondary character.
And when they got together, he was more of a serious actor than that. Yeah. And then the bits took off. And they went from there. And then, of course, the first movie they do, Up in Smoke, it came out of nowhere to be a mega hit in that. But now it's like 40 years old.
Chong did not act once. No. He was just himself all the time.
Well, I mean, he did 9 months in federal prison for selling marijuana-related stuff.
Yeah.
He was selling bongs and things like that. So
yeah, but they always did funny bits. But I think my personal favorite of them is the Santa Claus bit.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So I'm sure you can YouTube it and find it.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be on there. I'm gonna have to do that later because I haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah, that's another one of those traditions.
Yeah. So we kind of covered everything, from the Baby It's Cold Outside to the True Nativity Story, a little package from Santa again.
That's right.
Really appreciate having them in the studio. Hopefully you guys have been supporting that if you can. That's our sponsors are kind of key to us here, and if you are
very key,
anybody out there that's looking to offer sponsorship, we have some really good programs going on with that. So definitely get a hold of us, and we'll quote you our deals. Yep. Next week we're supposed to have. I'm going to confirm having Mike DeSantis from Great Lakes Comic Con. And he's going to come on and talk about that. They just announced today Carol Spinney, who is Big Bird and Oscar Rush, is going to be at the show.
Former Big Bird, yes. He's retired from that. Just retired. Yep. Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch.
This will probably be one of the last times to meet him, too. He's going to retire from doing appearances, too.
Yeah.
But they'd already... they've been in negotiations for this, I guess, a while. So it's great to see this happening. So if you're going to be or want to come to the Michigan area in February, I believe it's the 23rd and 24th. We'll double check the dates. It's the last Friday and Saturday of February for the last full week, and so come on out. I know I'll be set up there. You're gonna be set up there. Dominic, you gonna be at the Great Lakes Comic Con?
No,
I'm
not gonna be able to make it this year.
Oh man. Well, I guess y'all can't come get your Donnybrook stuff on. So,
but we will have Mike DeSantis in the house next week, so that'll be exciting.
Yep. So we'll confirm that, and we'll make an announcement on the
our year-end show too.
Yep. Well, I am a little bit behind getting the YouTube videos up. I will get those up for the last couple weeks, and we need more subscribers to YouTube. I know we got a few new subscribers to the Facebook page. So check us out at facebook.com/oddmusings. Go to actually oddmusings.com for our link to the YouTube channel. Because once we hit the 100, we can get a real URL with that. So we want to try to do that. And until then, you guys have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time. Dominic, take us out.